Hello and welcome to everybody. My guest is Bkfc fighter Kaleb Harris, the owner of the Knockout of the Year. So, how's everything going, Kaleb? And can you please introduce yourself, talk a bit on your skills, striking, and so on?
My name's Caleb Harris, aka Lionheart. I train out of Black Sails MMA and Jiu-Jitsu and Primal Martial Arts Academy. I've been doing martial arts for 19 years and kickboxing for 13, as well as MMA. I've been fighting for the last 8 years of my life, and I've had over 21 fights total between professional and amateur. And I just got done doing a run, getting ready for Bkfc 10 down in South Florida against Jim Allison.
Oh, it's awesome, man. When did you start training MMA in the first place? How many years ago?
Well, that's kind of a hard question to answer. See, I started in karate when I was a little kid at 7, but my instructor wasn't the normal karate instructor. He was a pro kickboxer back in the late 70s, early 80s. And so he actually was teaching us at times how to grapple and how to use takedowns as we were kids. And I didn't know any different. But I started kickboxing and jiu-jitsu when I was 12. So, and we just kind of combined it. We would combine it together. And then 6 years later, when I turned 18 and I was a senior in high school, I had my first 2 MMA fights. And I haven't looked back since.
So, which is your basic martial art?
Which is my basic, like, you mean like my foundation?
Yeah, you can call it that way.
Uh, I don't really say that I have one. Like I said, I started with karate, but I've always been a striker. Like, I mean, I love doing jiu-jitsu. I occasionally like to do jiu-jitsu competitions, but at the end of the day, when it comes to fighting, man, I would rather stand toe to toe with somebody and throw strikes all day long.
Why Lionheart?
That was a nickname given to me by my coach Johnny Little before my pro debut as an MMA fighter about three years ago. And we have a thing at our gym. You don't get to pick your own fight name. You earn that through training. And right before I was getting ready to go out, I was nervous, and my coach always gives a speech. And he basically summed it up with saying that, my heart and my drive to win a fight will always overpower anybody that I'm willing to fight. And I mean, that's when it clicked to him, and he's like, that's it. That's Caleb's fight name, Kaleb Lionheart Harris. And one of my teammates like rushed out from behind the venue. I'm literally like about to walk out, and like rushes to the side of the cage and tells the announcer what my fight name's going to be, because I didn't have one. And ever since then it's been Lionheart.
Awesome. How did your first amateur MMA fight look like? Was it hard for you or?
I was scared to death, man. Like, I mean, I'd been training this guy, but this guy, he trained kind of by himself a little bit. I remember standing in the cage as they locked the door, and my legs were actually shaking because I was so nervous. Because, like, it dawned on me at that point, this guy's trying to hurt me. And we went out, we touched gloves, and from the get-go, I was throwing strikes. And I ended up dropping him once, and I was hesitant to get on top of him. And he got back up, and I dropped him again, and the fight ended in, like, I think it was either 13 or 16 seconds. It was one of those two.
So you actually did very well. So who was your toughest amateur opponent? Do you have one?
My toughest amateur opponent. And that's a hard one to pick. Like, I would have to say probably Kyle Causey. It was my very first time fighting for a title, an amateur title. I had a bad weight cut. He was a wrestler, and I had not had much wrestling training before, and it was also a 5-round fight. So we would go in, and I would go to start striking and do my best to keep away from him, but he was always managing to get under me, pick me up, and take me down, and then we would be fighting from the ground for the rest of the round. And so that was probably my toughest one. I ended up losing that fight by decision.
Looking back at your pro MMA career, what was I mean the first match and how it looked like? Was it also scared to death or it was a different one?
It was different. I was fighting a guy named Trey Manley. He trains out of American Top Team, and it was his pro debut as well as mine. I'd watched him drop a couple of guys like full on KO. So I knew he had power, but he was a striker just like I am, and that was probably my funnest fight ever because for 3 rounds we went to war. And it was just a non-stop striking match. Like there was kicks, there was blow. I think we went to the ground for all of 10 seconds in 15 minutes. And I ended up winning that one by decision. But it was definitely a fun fight for me. Trey's a very game opponent, and that was probably it looked way better than my first amateur fight. That's for sure.
Why did you transition to Bkfc?
Honestly, man, I'd never fought bare knuckle a day in my life. I've never been in a street fight, and I'm always looking to test my mettle in some way, and there was just something about it. I went and watched with my best friend, Dustin the Puma. I went and watched Bkfc 2 and Bkfc 3 down in Biloxi, and pretty sure it was 2 and 3. But I tried signing up through their website. Never heard nothing back from anybody. Wanted to know how much the money was. At first, I thought maybe it would just be something fun to have under my record, that I had fought bare knuckle before. But I finally hit up Ricky Duran, who was a local promoter and is now part matchmaker for Bkfc here in Mississippi. And I told him, I said, dude, I want to do this. Like, how much is the pay? What is it? Set me up. And so I ended up taking the fight at 170, which is not what I normally fight at. I fight at 155 and 165. And I went in there and I fought Harris Stevenson and had a 5-round war and ended up losing by split decision. And the second I was stepping out of the ring, all I could think about was, man, I can't wait to get back in the ring and do this again. Man, I can't. And from that point on, I've just been consumed by it. Like, I still have a love for MMA, but I've found a home in Bkfc, and I'm building my name up. And by the end of 2020, I'll be the face of bare knuckle.
About your second match, you scored a face plant knockout. You rocked your opponent, and I think you knocked him down 2 or 3 times. I'm unsure. I watched the match, but I'm unsure whether was it 2 or 3 times.
It was actually 5 times.
5.
I knocked him down 3. I knocked him down 3 times in the first round.
Yes.
And then as soon as the second round started, I knocked him down within like the first 5 to 10 seconds. And the ref actually told him, if you go down one more time, I'm calling the fight. And we kind of circled around and kind of felt each other out a little bit more. And I picked my shot, and that right hand landed, and that was all she wrote.
I wanted to ask you about that right hand. He went for this uppercut and you went like this to the side. So you literally went into the path of that uppercut. Did you eat that uppercut or you didn't eat that uppercut?
No, that uppercut never made it. That uppercut never made it to me. A straight line's always going to beat a circle.
Yeah, but when I was watching the video, it looked like it touched you, that uppercut, but your hand was devastating. It was really, really devastating, and it scored in a face plant knockout.
If it did, man, I remember one punch and that whole fight hurt. That's it. Like, I remember one really bad uppercut that he landed in the first round, and it split my lip open. Other than that, I don't remember any hard shots. I just remember constantly throwing punches.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. About third fight, how did it go? Third Bkfc fight.
Jeff Chippens, man,
yes.
he's a very unusual fighter. Like, he had a very unorthodox stance. So it took me my first round. I took a few more shots with him because I just wasn't figuring out where I needed to be at first. And then when we started to kind of figure out the game plan, in the first round, I went back to my corner, and my coaches, Johnny and Dustin, they both told me, this is what he's doing. I want you to go out there and run, right to the body, and the left hook's going to be there. And that's when I started really dropping. I was throwing right hands to the body and coming back up, landing the left and right hooks to the head from that point. My hands took a little more damage in that fight just because I caught he was tucking his head a lot, and I was ended up hitting the sides of his head. But at the end of the day, the ref ended up stopping it. I truly feel that if they'd let it go to the third round, he wouldn't have made it out of the third. But, the ref was doing his job and making sure that Jeff was safe. And I was kind of glad for it to be over with because I had been fighting, I don't know if it was a sinus infection or just a cold or what, but like I couldn't breathe the whole fight. I was sick all day leading up to the fight. And so I was ready for it to be done. I was trying to get him out of there as fast as possible.
Do you think changing levels made a critical difference between you and your opponent in your last fight?
Yes. Level changing the head movement is key in any fight in bare knuckle. With the gloves on, you're okay to take a few shots and move and here and there to give a few shots. In bare knuckle, you don't want to take any shot that you don't have to. So I mean, moving your head and changing your levels is definitely critical in the game.
How did you feel when you found out that you won the Knockout of the Year title?
Man, I was at work and I was ecstatic. I was jumping for joy. Everybody else is like, "Duh, we told you were gonna win." I was like, "Well, yeah." I was like, "Now it's official. Like fans voted. I'm Knockout of the Year." And I don't know if that includes a bonus yet or not, but I'm hoping it does. But it definitely helped to skyrocket my presence on social media and my reputation in the game.
So it's awesome. Now you're facing Jim Allison, and he is a tough dude. I've got to say, I watched his fights. He is very, very tough opponent.
Oh yeah, Jim's a damn tough opponent. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, with Jim, man, it's all respect. Like, Jim has been at the levels that I dreamed of. He's fought UFC, held multiple titles, and fought in countries all over the world. And, man, it's an honor to be able to step in the ring and fight him. This is a big opportunity for me, and I'm super excited about it. I know it's going to be a hell of a war.
I can't wait for this battle to kick off. Would you like to greet someone? I mean, to add something to this interview, would you like to greet someone or?
Yes, I'd like to thank my sponsors. I've got a few MMA holes, Mystic Roots, which I'm wearing their shirt. Mystic Roots CBD, they always keep me healthy. Shelly's Electric, Lyle Machinery, Cypress Bayou Embroidery. They set up all my fight shirts. They're really great people. Fit Chef Catering out of Vicksburg, Mississippi. They're the ones that are helping me with my meal preps and stuff. Getting my weight down, getting ready to fight the biggest fight of my career so far. And man, there's just several others. If I'm forgetting any, I'm sorry. I'm spaced out right now. Getting ready. I'm excited for the Cowboys McGregor fight. So all my other sponsors, deeply from my heart, I thank you. Candy Bone, everybody else, just thank y'all for all the support that y'all gave me.
Thank you so much, Kaleb, for this lovely interview, and I hope we'll hear each other some other time. I hope after the victory over Jim Allison, hope you're gonna win him.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. And I'm ready to come on anytime you want.
Oh, absolutely. So after Jim Allen's fight, we can make another one. Thank you so much. Hear you all next time.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.